Morning, everyone. This was clearly set for Kevin, wasn't it? Up at my top of my head. Hey, is everybody ready for winter? Well, you better be. All right, let's go ahead. Let's stand and let's do our welcome song. Hit it, Mitch. There you go. Exercise. You sound like it's a little yucky outside. Come on. There we go.
Nothing is impossible. People laugh, it can't be done. Man's not meant to fly. Their little dream changed everything. They dared to touch the sky.
Come on, make it clap louder.
Oh, the great things you will do, 'cause nothing is impossible. You were born into this world with everything you need. Hold on to your heart, the magic starts the moment you believe. Nothing is impossible.
Cloudy, and I think it's because it's wintry. And last weekend was so gorgeous, right? That's what my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's start with our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotence. And our affirmation. Thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. And goodness gracious, don't we need love, peace, harmony, huh? We do. And our congregational affirmation. We here at the Unity Center are a loving, diverse, inclusive, spiritual community who come together to demonstrate and live the teachings of Jesus Christ by listening, learning, empowering ourselves and others. And let's welcome Diane for prayer requests today.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, I will take your prayer requests today, and after service, I will be over here if anyone would like a special prayer session. Kendall. Anyone else? Linda. Anyone else? Done. Anyone else? Yes. Healing for Terry. Anyone else? Denise. Terry and Rod are doing much better. Kevin. Linda for healing. Yes. Susan. Donnie for healing. And anyone else? Okay, as we think about the folks that we've mentioned today and bring them into our hearts with prayer, we're asking for healing for Rhoda and Virginia, for Donnie, for Terry, and for Linda. We're asking for some great victory for the Green Bay Packers. And we are grateful to hear that Terry and Rod are doing much better from last week. Thank you.
Okay. And our daily word will be read by John James today.
The word is guidance. I use divine wisdom to find my way. When I'm pondering a perplexing question or I need to make an important choice, I reach beyond human reasoning to the limitless wisdom of divine mind, never further away than my next thought. After clarifying my question and considering my available options, I release the situation, focusing instead on the divine presence within. I affirm, I am using divine wisdom to show me the way. In prayerful silence, peace envelopes me as I conclude my prayer time and resume my activities. I may experience a flash of insight or a more gradual understanding. However it happens, I trust my next steps will become clear to me. Confident in my divine guidance, I move forward with calm assurance. And the affirmation or the reading, but strive first for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be given to you as well. Matthew 6:33.
All right. And once again, let's welcome our guests, Julie and Doug. And thank you for the bass and the drum and the tambourine for Nothing is Impossible. Welcome, you guys. Oh, and Linda's joining too.
And you know, many of you probably recognize this song. So just begin singing with us. We're all set up. I've got all my glasses. Next time you're found with your chin on the ground, there's a lot to be learned. So look around. Just what makes that little old ant think he'll move that rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but he's got high hopes. He's got high hopes. He's got high apple pie in the sky. Hope so. Anytime you're getting low, instead of letting go, just remember that end. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant. When troubles call and your back's to the wall, there's a lot to be learned. That wall could fall. Once there was a silly old ram, thought he'd punch a hole in the dam. No one could make that ram scram. He kept butting that dam 'cause he had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky. Hope so anytime you're feeling bad, instead of feeling sad, just remember that ram. Oops, there goes a billion kilowatt dam. Oops, there goes a billion kilowatt dam. He had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky. Hopes all problems just a toy balloon. They'll be bursted soon. They're just bound to go pop. Oops, there goes another problem. Kerplops. There goes a problem. Oops, there goes another problem. Kerplop. Kerplop. Right there. Just mistakes, just let them fall. It's all right. Thanks, Linda.
And let's introduce, no, I'm going to introduce, let's bring up Kevin. And he's going to talk about the importance of hope. Hence this song. How great, huh? Here you go, Kevin.
All right, thank you. So I was so excited when Julie told me they were singing that song, because that was the song that I memorized and performed in front of all my relatives when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And they thought it was the cutest thing, you know. But yeah, I just love that song. So okay. Anyways, it's hard to believe that I was golfing in 70-degree weather like 3 days ago. It's what a change, huh? But that's, you know, we're Wisconsinites, so we know how to deal with this. It's it'll get warm again in 6 months or so. So just be patient. So did you hear about the man who was in a big hurry? He was late for a meeting and he was desperate to find a parking spot. So he looks up, he says, God, I promise that I will go to church every Sunday for the rest of my life if you just find a spot for me. He looks down, he says, oh, there's one. Never mind, God, I found one myself. So I just bring that up because how often do we think that we've solved all of our own problems and we never give God any credit that he was the one that helped draw those circumstances to us? It's a good joke. So today I want to give a talk based on hope. There's a book that Jane Goodall co-wrote called The Book of Hope, A Survival Guide for Trying Times. And we read it in the book club, I don't know, 6 months ago. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was just such a great reminder that there are reasons to hope all around us. And if we just look every day, we can remain hopeful, because when you remain hopeful, you're willing to take action. You're not frozen, you're not paralyzed. You know, it really makes a difference in your life. So, you know, these are trying times, so I don't blame Jane at all for putting that in the title. I mean, climate change actually threatens our very existence. The way we live 50 years from now, maybe almost, I don't know, unrecognizable compared to how we're living today, at least where we're living, because some places won't be inhabitable. We have political squabbling between countries that result in war. We've got, what else do we have? Well, we've got suffering, illness, starvation. I mean, there's a lot of things that are wrong. There's also a lot of movements that I think are pretty unhealthy politically around the globe, where the will of the people is being ignored more and more. And here in the United States, we have the culture wars. I mean, People are desperate for changes to things that they feel are far too long in happening. But yet the other side of this country has people that are desperate because they feel like everything that's good about this country is being taken away from them and changed. And we need to honor both sides. You know, one of the reasons why I brought that up last is because sometimes I think we get so obsessed with it that we forget that there are much bigger problems that the world faces, and we need to remember that first, not put all of our energy into into the culture wars. So Jane said that there are 4 reasons that give her hope. 1 is the amazing human intellect. 2 is the resilience of nature. 3 is the power of today's young people. And 4 is the indomitable human spirit. So I would like to just go through a little summary of what she said about each one of these. So first, she says that hope is not something like faith that you believe in blindly. Hope is actually something that you can gain by looking for the evidence around in the world that you see. Hope enables us to face adversity, and it is what we desire to happen, but we must be prepared to work hard to make it so and to be patient. By being active, we can remain more hopeful, and we can see that our actions do have some positive changes. So she says that hope is different from being optimistic, though. Do you know what the difference between an optimist and a pessimist is? An optimist thinks that this is the best of all possible worlds, and a pessimist thinks he might be right. So Jane's first reason, the amazing human intellect. I think sometimes we just downplay this. We don't recognize how amazing our inventiveness and creativity really is. I mean, because human beings learned language and then learned how to create a written language, we've just made leaps and bounds in what we can discuss, what we can record, what we can do. It's allowed us to create rules of law, moral codes, scientific inquiry that can be shared around the world, skyscrapers, computers, the World Wide Web. It's incredible. When you think of purified water and central heating and roads and cars, trains, planes, it's amazing. And the inquiry goes on every day. They say that our scientific knowledge is increasing exponentially. So, I mean, I don't remember what the figures are, but it's like we know 10 times as much now as we did, 100 years ago, or maybe even 30 years ago. It's just incredible. And a lot of these things really are helping us to solve problems. For instance, who would imagine that 2 years ago, when we were in the middle of this COVID crisis and the hospitals were full, that 2 years later, the hospitals are almost empty. They've learned how to treat it. We have a vaccine that was developed in less than a year. I mean, these are amazing things that we were able to mobilize across the entire world. So there really are many times when our scientific inquiry and our creativity really do come to make a huge difference and solve problems. It's just, we just need to remember that perhaps the greatest solution to climate change is in the process of being invented right now. So the next point that Jane talks about is the resilience of nature. So one thing Jane recommends is that we immerse ourselves in the natural world, that we get out there in the parks and on the lakes and just observe the seasons. There's so much we can learn from the diversity of nature and the way that things are related, the symbiotic relationships they have, the rhythm of the seasons, the quiet, slower pace that nature has. It can help us to slow down, it can help us to relax, and it can help us experience some of the awe of the natural creation of the world. Does anyone remember the state of our environment 50 years ago? In 1970, Lake Erie was dead. Nothing could live in that lake. The Cuyahoga River caught on fire. The pollution over Los Angeles was so bad you could barely see and you could barely breathe. They were having smog alerts all the time. The DDT had made the eggs of eagles so thin that they couldn't hatch. So eagles were almost extinct. And look at where we are 50 years later. I mean, Lake Erie is rebounded. The eagles, I mean, there's eagles nesting in Milwaukee County, and basically every county of Wisconsin has eagle populations breeding now. It's amazing to see those birds come back. And there's many other success stories. Nature really is resilient if it's given a chance. Has anybody visited the Hawthorne Glen Nature Preserve down on State Street? Yeah, it's just a beautiful little park if you have a chance to go. And that was a gravel pit in the 1930s, and there was barely anything that was alive in that thing. It was just scraped stone. And after it was retired as a gravel pit in the 1940s, it was turned into a nature preserve, and it's just a wonderful place now. There's about a half a mile of hiking trails that go through the woods. There's all kinds of flora and fauna that make their home there, all kinds of birds. It just shows you how nature can rebound if we just give it a chance. Another thing we have to realize is that sometimes when it comes to nature, we have to take the long view, because the way nature is today is not the way nature is going to be forever. And it's not even supposed to be that way. Nature continues to evolve all the time. I mean, when I was in high school, one of the things we did in science classes was we went to gravel pits and we looked through the rocks to find fossils of sea creatures that lived millions and millions of years ago right here in Wisconsin. Because Wisconsin wasn't always this land of, beautiful forests and rivers and lakes. It used to be an inland sea. And then the ice age came, then the ice age receded. I mean, nature is always changing and it's always evolving, and creatures that live today may not live tomorrow. That's just what nature does. And we certainly don't want to help destroy it. And I'm all for helping to preserve it, but we just need to realize that in the long view, everything is going to be okay. And the more we can do to help the people and the creatures today, the better. But nature is resilient and it will continue to evolve in whatever shape it has. So one of the things Jane did mention, though, is that we should honor our grief, especially our eco grief, because mourning what's being lost is a real thing. And the last thing we want to do is stuff our emotions. We need to honor them. We need to recognize them. We need to make a place for them. And that includes all kinds of grief, because we have many losses besides what's going on in the environment. We just have to recognize those and not feel like, oh, I shouldn't feel that emotion. I should only be positive. We need to recognize that that's part of life too. So the third reason for hope that Jane had was the power of young people today. There's a saying that we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, that we borrow it from our children. And that's a much better way to look at it, because it's something that we really owe them back. But today, we've stolen it, and we really need to work on that. But young people have such energy, more than we probably give them credit for. They're amazingly resourceful. they're inventive, they're energetic, they're on top of the latest technologies. Solutions to climate change, to racism, to a functioning political system, all of them may very well be created by young people today. So think of Greta Thunberg, who travels the world trying to wake nations up, political systems up about climate change and the importance to take action now. What about the students of Stoneman High that have launched national gun control movements and at 16 and 17 gone all over the country to speak in front of audiences of thousands of people, just urging action on changes to gun control laws. They're not content to just sit and complain or just fade into the background. They're taking action. There are amazing teenagers all over the world doing great things. You know, we often think that kids are self-absorbed and they care more about their phones and TikTok than they care about the world, but it's not true. I mean, there are people taking action and fighting for action everywhere. One great example is a movement that Jane started in 1991 in Tanzania. It's called Roots and Shoots. And Jane has a strong belief that everything is related. And you can't help people unless you are also helping animals. And you can't help animals unless you're also helping the environment. And you can't help people unless you help the environment. You know, they're all related. They all coexist, and there's a reason they coexist. So the idea of Roots and Shoots is to give young people some autonomy to identify things that need to be changed right where they live, their own hometown. And they're urged to create 3 projects. You know, one to help people, one to help the environment, and one to help nature or help animals. So some examples that these kids have decided on are tackling beach cleanup, coral reef restoration, fruit tree planting in barren schoolyards, stopping cruelty to animals in animal markets, helping street children. The list is as long as every individual group. So there were 12 teenagers in 1991 that started the original Roots and Shoots. And now there are hundreds of thousands of members all around the world, including right here in the United States. So many of them are in underdeveloped countries, but they're right here as well. In fact, poor urban schools are one of the places that Roots and Shoots has really taken root. And kids in these poor urban schools have done things like banning styrofoam in their cafeterias, writing letters to stop animal cruelty. Let's see what else here. Those are the only 2 I mentioned, but the idea is that once they join these groups and once they start to take action, they become more engaged in everything. These kids are coming to school more. They're graduating more. They realize that they matter, they can make a difference, and they really decide that they want to do something. So it's really an inspiring story, because we do have to remember that one of the biggest determinants in being able to be hopeful is to see that you have some power, you have some ability to impact change. So these kids' lives have been changed, and they're now engaged in society, and they're working for even more change. And if they can do it, so can we. So Jane's stories affirm that we can make a difference when we're given the means to do so. But we have to remember positive outcomes can occur and hope can prevail as long as we're patient and we continue to work. So if you begin to feel like you're losing hope, look around and see what you can do. And it doesn't have to be big, but we can all help in many ways. We can write a letter, we can make a phone call, we can help a neighbor, we can join a group. There are always differences where we can have an impact in other people's lives. So the 4th reason that Jane gives for reason to hope is the indomitable human spirit. Indomitable means impossible to subdue or defeat. So Jane says, I believe that the human spirit is my energy force. It's an inner strength that I am connected to the great spiritual power that I feel so strongly, especially when I'm in nature. So I had no idea that Jane was a very spiritual person. I was kind of surprised when she started talking about it towards the end of the book. But it turns out that she would be quite at home at a unity service. She has many of the same beliefs. She senses there's a spiritual spark in all of life, not just people. And she mentions that indigenous people see themselves related to all of nature, even rocks and water, all are part of the same earth family. And nature has convinced her that that is true of her as well. So what does the indomitable human spirit mean? It means that we have an innate power for resilience. We have an innate power for imagination, for creativity, for courage, for persistence. Think of how many people that you know have survived horrible situations in their lives and managed to recover and even thrive. There are examples in friends that or relatives that everyone knows. I mean, there are people that have been injured and paralyzed and come back to walk again. You know, doctors say the main determinant of whether someone recovers or succumbs to their illness is resilience, and whether they're determined to overcome their situation. But our spirit is that powerful, and for many people, they're able to exercise that. If we believe we can persevere, if we believe in our source of strength, our spirit can pull us through. I think there's many instances of that in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, where people just survived on the pure will to survive. And many of them also helped their own survival by helping those around them in any way they could. It helped them to not lose hope. You know, unfortunately, not everyone can find that kind of resilience. And some people do succumb to the circumstances and sink to the bottom when life challenges them very harshly. But we have to realize that others do rise to the occasion and persevere, and that potential is within all of us. So we need to remember as we hit hard times that we really can survive them. We really can move through them. We can overcome them. We also need to recognize that we're not going through this alone. We have our spiritual resources, but we have our friends and family as well. We have institutions. The main thing is we need to look outside of ourselves to see what's available and to keep moving, keep taking action. We're always stronger than we think. So don't be afraid to accept help in trying times. You're giving others the opportunity to share, to love, to give, and don't forget to give to others during their trying times, because it's our ability to pay it back. So one thing that helps me if things are rough is to remember that everything truly is temporary. Everything changes, everything passes. No situation will ever remain the same. So one way we can grow hope is by growing our spirituality. When we feel the presence of God, it is really hard to not feel the connection to others, not feel the connection to nature, not sense that there's a oneness in the world. That connection to God can really help us feel that all things are connected and that presence is everywhere. And that is a unity principle number one. So recognize that all of humanity has gone through so many things and is still surviving today. It has struggled through millennia, and it is stronger today than it ever has been. So we know that humanity will continue to survive and continue to change and continue to fight and continue to evolve, and so can we. And we see survivors every day that shows us that evidence. So I'm just asking you here today to remember to look for proof every day that there are reasons to hope. And there are plenty of them out there. We just need to make sure that we look to the proper sources and we remain optimistic. So if you look for proof, you will find it. Look for reasons to hope. And before I give up the pulpit, I have a song that I wrote while I was putting together the sermon, so I wanted to share that with you. So I could have spared you all 15 minutes of me blathering on by just singing this song and walking off. You got to have hope if you want to live your life. You got to have hope if you want to thrive. You've got to have hope, hope, hope. If you want to have peace of mind, you've got to have hope to be fully alive. Hope is what we look to when we're not where we'd like to be, when the world seems cruel or a little cold. Hope will help to calm us down and help us see the light. Hope gives us the strength to be bold. So you've got to have hope, or the world can get us down. You've got to have hope, see possibilities when you look around. You've got to have hope. The world is changing every day. You've got to have hope, for nothing stays the same. Hope is the secret sauce that helps us to believe that God's spark inhabits all of life. Hope is based on evidence that surrounds us every day. Ingenuity, resilience, and kindness too. You gotta look for it, people. Yes, you gotta have hope. If you want to live your life, you gotta have hope. If you want to thrive, you've got to have hope. If you want to have peace of mind, you've got to have hope to be fully alive. You've got to have hope to be fully alive. Thank you. All right, so let's take a few minutes to just relax, take a few deep breaths. Let's just think of reasons in our lives that we can remain hopeful. Successes that we've had, friendships, family, relationships, creative activities that just help us to stay connected and excited about life, looking forward to what's next. Let's think about ways in which we help our world, big and small ways. Those connections we have with friends and relatives, the way we might help a neighbor or even a stranger. The hope that we can feel when we look around nature and see how wonderful creation truly is. think that with hope comes gratitude. We truly can be grateful for the life we have and all that's good within it. We can certainly feel hope when we look around and see the strides that the world is making to improve our world, to help our people, to save our environment. Let's just sit in that feeling for a moment. And we can come back now, realize that we can have hope that my next sermon will be even better. But I hope that you got something good out of today, something you can take home and chew on a little bit. And with that, we'll bring up Kathy for our offertory.
Not that Kevin's taller than me. All right, let's go ahead and let's take our offerings and let's hold them into our hands, and let's go ahead with the offering prayer. There is no lack or limitation. Freely I give, and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving. And let's welcome back Julie and Doug.
Thank you. This next song is brand new to us, maybe to you. I first heard of Jason Mraz because I'm in a duo, which is becoming a trio. Troy Hergert, his wife is a wonderful singer. And so they were doing some duos in our show. And one of the songs they did was Lucky. Lucky to be in love with it. Really cute little song. I was like, who is that? That's Jason Mraz. So I looked him up and he has all these wonderful songs. So this one is called Look for the Good. And I changed the key on him last minute. So let's just give him some love right now. Thank you for. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. New song, new glasses. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. People done gone crazy. People done gone mad. People done forgot the superpowers we all have. We were born to love, not hate. We can decide our fate. and look for the good in everyone and celebrate our mistakes. If there's a silver lining, you still have to find it. Just like you said, look for the love and look for the good. Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. I'm going to say, look for the hope. Look for the hope in everyone. Everyone needs sunshine. Everyone needs rain. Everyone is carrying around some kind of pain. I see who you are. You're just like me. I see you're searching for a purpose and guided by a dream. I see who you are. You're just like, I'm just like you. I get lost sometimes and I forget what I'm here to do. I keep on trying, even when it gets frightening. Try some of the words. Look for the good. Look for the good in everything. Look for the hope in the people. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible till it's done. Look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone. Everyone is nature, everyone is God, everyone is love and light and vibration. Look for the good, look for the good. Everyone gets mad sometimes, and maybe they should. Look for the good, look for the good. Yes, look out for the heroes in your neighborhood. Look for the good, look for the good. Life sure would be sweeter if everybody would. Look for the hope in everything. Here we go. Look for the hope in everything. Look for the people. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good, look for the good. Look for the good. Look for the good in everyone.
How about that? Our own duo. Oh, that was awesome. Oh, please bring up the gift blessings. Yes, Danny. Let us all just take a moment and let's just bless these tithes. Let's give our love and our presence and just know that these will be used in the best way possible for unity. We fully affirm complete finances for the appropriate contractors for our parking lot. And we also affirm that the right and appropriate minister will lead into our next chapter. Amen. All right, let's do some announcements. Reverend Patty Pippia will be with us next week, and her speech, no, her lesson will be about the statement of being. Stay tuned. The book study is taking a couple of weeks off and starting December. And that is by Joan Halifax. You have a little bit of time, go ahead, Google it, run to the library, take a look at it. If you'd like to join, please. And if you're not already a member of the group, email or let the center know, and we'll make sure you get the information you need. But it does meet Thursdays, 9:30. Silent Unity Prayer will follow the book study. Kevin, will we be meeting those 2 weeks off? Going again. Also, along with the mentioned it a little bit earlier with the prayer, we do have the prayer box over at the side. If you do have something and you just don't loud, there's paper over there, please write it down. And then we send them off to Kansas for another 30 days. And we all know how powerful prayer can be. A Course in Miracles happens every Sunday, 11:45-ish, kind of after everybody's had a little something there to wet their whistles. That is led by our very own Joanne Bauman, and it's just A Course in Miracles is miracle-minded thinking to focus on the principles of universal love and forgiveness. We do have our website. It's still up there. Please, if you have something you'd like to post on the bulletin board, go on out there. It's just unitycenter in Milwaukee.com. We have an inspiring insights tab, and I do believe we have some local people like Sandy over there postings up to our inspiring insights Wednesday, and of course you can view the past as well. Our life journey group will be meeting the second and fourth Monday of the month, beginning at 6:30. Just bring yourself. Again, if you have some questions about that and where and when, and well, we know when, and how to enter the building, please just let us know. Otherwise, just shine up, show up, just show up. My goodness. All right. We are always looking for volunteers. You know what? I look for the day we don't have to have this slide anymore, right? You and you and you and you can all do something. Just let us know and we'll figure out something that you can do. Oh, here comes Kevin. I don't know, Kevin. Okay, is there another one? There we go. Oh, you're gonna talk about this?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, Gratitude Sunday is next Sunday. And it's to show gratitude for all of our volunteers, but I want to make sure that everyone realizes that everyone is invited, because unless we have you here to help celebrate our volunteers, it'll be an empty celebration. So please, we're catering the meal. So please stick around after Sunday service next week. As far as the volunteer thing goes, the day after Thanksgiving, we are planning on showing up here at 10 a.m. to decorate our church for Christmas, our center for Christmas. So if anybody wants to show up for a few hours, let us know, and you can come and help us decorate the church for the Christmas season. There's one other thing I wanted to ask, and that is we've decided to have our Christmas service on Christmas Day rather than Christmas Eve. And I just wanted to see if there's a show of hands here. If people would say, no, you have to have it on Christmas Eve, and I plan on being there, but I can't come on Christmas. So just, if we had it on Christmas Day, who thinks they would plan to attend? Okay, and if we have it on Christmas Eve, would you attend? Who would be able to attend then? Well, if on Christmas Eve, yeah, 4 or 5 o'clock. Okay, it's kind of evenly split, maybe more, maybe a few more on Sunday than Christmas Eve. Think it's the other way around, Diane? Okay, I just wanted to get a feel of the pulse. That's okay. So I think we're ready to stand and sing our closing song. So, let there be peace on earth.
Let there be
light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Thank you all. Good to see you all.